Okay, I believe it's recording. Did it give you all a notification to that effect? Hopefully. All right. Well, thanks again for coming. Um, so this session is to talk about Hypothesis. It's an internet tool that we can use, and a couple of you have already started using to annotate readings together. And so when I talk about annotating readings, what I mean is just adding your notes to a reading. It's a way for us to have a discussion this week about um, strategies for reading critically and thinking critically as we read, how to kind of approach a academic historical piece of writing versus just something you might read for entertainment or for pleasure, because there are different strategies for doing both of those things. Hopefully when you're reading for pleasure, you don't have too many strategies, you're just having a good time. Little different when we're trying to figure out what an author's approach is, what their methods are, what their arguments are, and that kind of thing. So Hypothesis is cool because in the margins then of the reading, we can make notes and say, here's where I identified the author's thesis. This is why I think it's the author's thesis. And we can respond to each other there, so we can say, well, wait a minute, I thought it was this thing, and we can have a discussion about um, how we're approaching and how we're seeing the reading. Um, because with the written word, of course, there's what the author intended, what they had in mind when they wrote a thing, then the readers kind of give life to and take readings in their own ways as well. So um, that just as an introduction. What I wanted to do is open it up to specific questions that you have about using Hypothesis, if any, at this point. And we can use that as a way into looking at how the platform works. And I'll share my screen and demonstrate it. So either you can unmute yourself or post in the chat any questions you have.
Yes, this is Richard. How do you get from the Brightspace articles to Hypothesis to annotate?
Okay, great question. So how do you get from the Brightspace articles to get to Hypothesis to annotate? I think I've fixed that for us because I've found a way to share the articles through the unit narrative in Medium, meaning you don't actually have to go back to Brightspace and download it and then open it in the browser. That would have been the way that we were going to do it, but I figured out a more streamlined way. So I can show you that. So there's one question. Other questions? And I'll make note of what these are so that I can make sure to go over all of them. Did anyone have issues joining the class group?
Yes, I did, Richard.
Okay, all right. So I'll also go over that as well. Class group. Just mumble to myself. And then access articles. Okay. All right. If you want, as we go along, you can either raise your hand or stop me or post some questions in the chat. I should see those pop in, but sometimes when the presenter shares their screen, it's hard to see the chat. So you might have to actually interject vocally to let me know that you have a question.
Okay.
Any others before I share the screen and get going?
Yeah, it's a history 1103 spring 2021. That's the group we're supposed to be in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just uploaded it and I'm right at the first page and it says like 13 matching and it has that. So I just wanted to make sure I was at the right section.
Yeah, and you said history 1103 spring
Yeah.
2021. Yep. Okay, great.
Okay.
That is it. All right. Okay, so let me see if I can show you what this will look like. Here, I'm going to share my screen. You can tell I'm real good at Zoom. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to figure out where to put our faces so they're not in the way of what I'm trying to do. Okay, so of course this should look familiar. This is our course in Brightspace. I have in this tab our course in Medium. So for what we're doing, I'm going to click on the unit narrative. So the unit narratives tab, I'm going to open the unit narrative for unit 3 that we're working on this week. So I know a lot of you have already started here because I've seen your posts to Twitter about what are some examples of non-written historical sources. So I'm sorry for the scrolling, but I'm going to scroll down to here where you join Hypothesis. And so as Ricky mentioned, the group for our class, I'm just going to click the link, is this one, HIST 1103, Spring 2021. If you have not joined Hypothesis yet, when you click that link, it will walk you through the steps of signing up and getting your free Hypothesis account. So if you're visiting for the first time and you click that link, you would see something a little bit different than what just happened. Once you've already created an account and joined our class group, clicking that link will just take you right here to the group. And so you'll be able to see other members of the group. Some of us, you can tell who we are from who our regular names are from these, and some of them less so. But what you can do from here is, for example, you can click on what does it mean to think historically. This was the extra mile assignment that you had for Unit 2. So this is that article about the 5 C's of historical thinking. If you chose to annotate that, as Matthew did, and I think Mariah did as well, you can see everybody's annotations here. So what this does then is it breaks the annotations out from the margins, and you can just see what other people in the group are writing. This doesn't make that much sense though, right? I mean, it's just these, like, I don't know what Mariah is necessarily talking about here. So you can click this arrow, or you can click this one here to view the annotations in context. And what that means is it'll open the article where the annotations were made. And once it loads, there it goes, it'll take you right to that specific annotation. So here's the maps answer a lot of unanswered questions. That's what she said. And so now I can look here and see this is what she annotated. I can read it in the context of what the article was to understand the comment she was making, if that makes sense. So what I just walked you through is sort of working backwards. Now that we're open in this article though, and you could just click the link to go to what does it mean to think historically. Of course, there are links to that in a few different places in the course. And as you're reading along, I use Google Chrome. That's the example that I give in a lot of the tutorials. You click on the word is escaping me, the extension for Hypothesis to activate it. So what that means is if you're using Chrome, when you joined Hypothesis, you signed up, I point you to step number 2 on the instructions page where it gives you an explanation of how to get the extension for Google Chrome, or how to do the bookmarklet if you're using a different browser. So if I was using Firefox, for example, I would have a Hypothesis bookmark. They call it the bookmarklet, but you just add it to your bookmarks bar up here. If it was Firefox, it would say Hypothesis bookmark. I would click that, just like I click the extension here, and it brings up this sidebar. I can minimize the sidebar for Hypothesis, and you just see the little arrow and things so that it's out of the way so that you can do the actual reading. And then when you want to add an annotation, so you're reading along and you think, oh, I like Mark Klett. I know his photography work. So I highlight his name, I click annotate, and now I can, over here, I had to scroll up a little bit to get the box to show, but now I can type my comment here, and then you just click post to the class group, and there it is. I've added an annotation. To respond to other people, you just click this little arrow. So if I wanted to respond to Mariah, I click that arrow, and then it gives me a box here where I can type a comment back to her and then click post. I'm just going to click cancel. This is only showing one annotation because of the way I got here. I went from that first hypothesis page, and then I wanted to see the annotation in context. To show all, I just click this button, and now I can see everyone's. Because we could tell there were a lot more highlights or a lot more annotations on this page. So now I can see everyone's. Questions? Something else you might have to look out for too is, well, let me show you how to get to this a different way, just so that we can come at this from a few different angles. So this is the other tab where I had hypothesis open. Here, I'm going to go back to our course on Medium. If anybody gets lost or I do things too quickly or it's a jumble, stop me. So here's back to our course on Medium. I'm going to go back to the unit narratives. I'm going to go to unit 2 this time, just so I can go to where we just were in a different way. So as I scroll down, again, I apologize for the dizzying effect. I'm going to scroll down to the article where we were just reading. What does it mean to think historically? This is where I link to it in the unit narrative. So I'm going to click there. It'll open it in the same tab. And I'll notice that hypothesis controls are here because I already had clicked the bookmark, or excuse me, the extension button. If I click it again, they go away. So if you get here and it doesn't have the hypothesis tools up, just click the extension or the bookmark to get there. Now I can see, again, what we were just looking at, coming at it from the article itself rather than having to go to hypothesis and then go to the article, if that makes sense. Sometimes if you get to hypothesis by just opening up the article, when the tools come up, it will ask you to sign in over here. So you just click there and use your login credentials and sign into hypothesis. Sometimes it'll default to public for the group. So if that's the case, you'll need to click the arrow and then choose our class group. You probably will only have public in our class group unless you've been using hypothesis on your own. So that's how to make sure that you're actually posting your annotations with our class. All right. Does that help address some of the questions about the class group?
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay. The other question was about accessing the articles. So I'm going to go again to Medium. Fortunately, my internet seems to be liking me today. It's working fairly well. Go back to the unit narratives. This time I'm going to go to unit 3 because I think Richard was asking about the articles that we'll be working on this week. And I do apologize for the confusion around these because last fall when we had the class on Blackboard, I couldn't find a good way to share PDF articles with everyone to annotate together. And so I put them inside a Blackboard and then you would download them and open them in your browser. I thought the same thing would have to be the case with Brightspace, but I found another trick, another platform that we can use so that we don't have to do all these extra steps. So it'll be just like what I showed you just now for the historical thinking article, excuse me, but the same for the PDFs. You'll just click the link, they'll open and you'll be able to read them and annotate them. So scrolling down again, many apologies. Here's where we just were, where I clicked the link for the class group. If you don't know what I was talking about the hypothesis extension or the bookmarklet, if you click here, where the click here and go to step 2, that explains that part of it. And then I have another video tutorial that I made last fall that will be similar to this, what this video will be after we're all said and done. So this week then you'll be reading the short predatory reading article. and then this one, Foundations of Analytical Reading. To annotate those together. So I have some suggestions for questions that you should answer and think about as you add your annotations to these articles. So look at those. But to annotate them, all you'll have to do is open the article. So click the link. It will open. And if you've already had Hypothesis open on this page, you'll see the tools there already. If not, just click the extension or the bookmarklet, depending what browser you're using. And then once you do, you'll be able to annotate the reading. So of course you want to just read it first. And I know sometimes it's not great to read on a screen. If you have the option to well, you don't want to print 157 pages. I pointed out, just read the first couple chapters of this. So not the whole thing. Make sure if you end up printing things out and then coming back to add your annotations, you probably don't want to try to print out 157 pages. But you scroll down, and if you are happy or fine reading it online, you just read. And as you go, when you're ready to add an annotation, you just do it the same way. Highlight the text that you want to comment on, click annotate, make sure you're in the class group and not on public, and then type your annotation. And then you just hit post. You'll see other people's, so you'll see highlights from other annotations that folks have added. You can read those and respond to those, so it's a way of having a conversation about the reading right here in the margin. So that's great. So that's one of the articles that we're reading for Unit 3. Let me see if I can go back there to the, there we go. Maybe. Yes. Okay, so what I did is I just went back to the Unit 3 narrative, as you can see here, because it went to the top of the page. I thought it might not, in Medium. So I'm back to where I clicked to open that reading. Those are the first couple. Those two readings are about reading critically. So those are texts that have ideas and pointers for thinking about how to read an academic history text from a critical angle. I have some other resources about reading strategies there that may be helpful as an FYI. And then the final activity for the week will be to choose one of these two articles. You don't have to do both, you choose one or the other. They both have some relevance to what we'll do in Unit 5 in different ways, but they are actual articles about a specific moment in history. This one, Community Building on the Border, is about the Black 24th Infantry, their band in the town of Columbus, New Mexico, on the border with New Mexico and Chihuahua, in the time frame of the late 19-teens. This one, The Archive That Never Was, is about an archive that was a secret archive that was discovered in Guatemala City that has records about the violent civil war in Guatemala. And so this is about a history of an archive of a place where historical records were housed that has the potential of helping people find some sort of healing and some sort of closure after that civil war. Both of them are relatively short for academic articles. They're between 10 and 12 pages each, I think, the text. So it's not a super long thing, but I wanted us to get our feet wet with one of these, applying some of the things that we've thought about and learned about. So as you scroll down here, you'll see here are the questions to answer. So you'll want to identify the author's argument. You'll identify the signposts, and that's something that Patrick Rael talks about in the predatory reading article that comes earlier. Identify the author's evidence. So with historical writing, authors always provide, well, they should provide evidence of what they're talking about to support their perspective on the past, to support, I should say, their interpretation. Identify the author's interpretations. This was something that was not always very easy for me as an undergraduate, and even now, sometimes it still can be a little bit tricky to parse out where is the author actually citing evidence, where is there a fact or some sort of reference to a primary source versus where is the commentary on that source. So the interpretation is the author's commentary on that source. It's what he or she is saying is significant about the piece of evidence that they have just cited or just shared. Making a connection back to the argument, hopefully, saying, here's the evidence, this is why it supports my particular argument about this historical event. So those are the things you'll look for as you add annotations to these. And as I said, and I think this is why maybe Richard had the question, I had previously had it set up so that you'd have to go back to Brightspace to find these articles. But instead you can just click on it and it'll open. So it's now the same thing that I've been showing you. You just make sure your hypothesis is on, that you're in the right group, and then you can read through the article and add your annotations. And it's the same thing with the other one. Anybody lost?
I'm a little lost. So I know that we can highlight and comment, but is there any way we can just like open a story and just answer the questions from there? Or is it just us highlighting and adding comments that way on the story?
It's just highlighting and adding comments on the story. So you were wondering, is there a way of having just responding to the questions without having to do it here in the margins?
Did on Medium last week, just like if we could do it that way, or is it just like we highlight certain sections and we just comment on the certain comments?
That's it. Yeah. Just highlight certain sections and comment on those.
Okay.
But highlight sections that will help you answer those questions, if that makes sense. So highlight okay.
And you're gonna have this video up in case like I get a little confused, I can go back and go over this video and just review everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions?
Not right now.
Okay.
Which story do you like better out of the two?
Good question. So the other one is something that is more directly relevant to the dissertation research that I did. So my dissertation that I did for my PhD program was about the history of Columbus, New Mexico, and the rural border there between New Mexico and Chihuahua, from the late 1800s through the 1920s. So that particular moment in time is something that I've read a lot about and have a lot more context for. And so I find it pretty fascinating for that reason. This one, though, has also been something that has been interesting to me because I did my bigger program in terms of what I studied in graduate school was about Latin American history. So I was looking at the border, not just from the American side, but also from the Mexican side and thinking about the bigger history of Latin America. And before I took a Latin American history class, I didn't really know the story of the Guatemalan Civil War or the US role in that. And so it was a very kind of troubling story that I've long been interested in too. So the other one is more interesting to me in that it's closer to the specific research I did, but I'm interested in them both.
Unless there's anything else, I think I'm good and all caught up.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for your help. I'm gonna get out of here, but I hope you have a great rest of your week and I will email you if I have any other questions.
Sounds great. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for me too, Brandon, and I very much appreciate this. And I've got some things to go over and go through, so I've got homework even on this little session.
All right. Well, like Ricky said, just send me an email if you have questions. I can also set up a separate Zoom meeting later in the week if anybody gets lost, and that's for anybody watching the video after the fact as well. So
Good.
just let me
Okay,
know.
well, appreciate it. Thanks, Brandon.
You bet.
I just got one question that might be a little off topic.
Okay.
Like these two papers and the what does it mean to think critically? I was reading other areas of Medium,
Yeah.
and somewhere I don't see it right now. There was the final exam.
Oh yeah.
Or the final paper, and
Mhm.
somewhere in there, I think you said something about, we could use any annotation citation method we want,
Yes.
whether it be MLA, APA, or Chicago. I guess I think I don't see it right now, but oh wait, research project. I think you said in here, it said that the Chicago style was the typical style used by historians.
Yes.
I've never used Chicago,
Mhm.
so I never studied it or anything like that, unfortunately. Are any one of these papers good examples of the Chicago style of citations? Because for what does it mean to think historically? Throughout that paper, he's got like ones, and it's got like numbers throughout the paper that
Yeah.
didn't really make any sense until I clicked on one, and it took me down to the bottom where all of the notes were at.
Mhm.
So I
Oh,
mean,
that's
if
a
I
really
were to,
good question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I know if I were to if I were to print this out, would that be like a Chicago style?
Yeah, it would. So I'm going to
Or
scroll
different
down
papers
again.
like that?
Yeah.
I know this
So you
is
see, yeah, that's what you're talking about, the notes at the bottom.
yeah.
Right. So yeah, that is the kind of hallmark of Chicago style, rather than doing the citations in parentheses and then having a work cited at the end of the whole article.
Yeah.
It uses footnotes to kind of do the same thing.
It's basically
Um,
just footnotes or endnotes.
Yes. Yes. So this is a pretty good example of Chicago style. Sometimes blog posts like this one ended up being posted to the American Historical Association site as
Yeah.
kind of a blog post, even though it's an article. But it does have Chicago style endnotes. So that is the main thing about it. Each of the different citation styles have their own specific conventions in terms of, do you put the author's last name first or last? Do you italicize or underline a title? Those kinds of things that are.
Yeah.
So, and my point in the research project instructions was, if you are going to study history, which I know some people in class are and some aren't, but if you are, then I would, suggest trying to figure out Chicago style, and I've linked to a couple of resources for that.
Yeah.
If you're not, though, as long as you cite your sources, I'm okay with that. If that makes
Okay.
sense. You can use whatever citation style you're comfortable with that you know. And anymore, writing online, writing on a place like Medium, doing blog style posts, it's less about, are you doing MLA, and it's more about including embedded hyperlinks to your sources.
Yeah.
So, that's also a way to do it. But as long as you've cited your sources in some way, shape, or form that is legible to whoever's reading it, then that's good for our class. But again, because we're talking about historical study, I wanted folks to know historians use Chicago if you go on to get a degree in history.
Yeah, I'll probably think about it. I did the APA for, it's funny. My English teacher said you would only use APA or MLA in your whole college career. It's like, since then, here, Chicago, last semester I had an anthropology class that was like APA. It's like, Thanks. Thanks, English teacher.
I know. So I think English and a lot of the humanities disciplines use MLA.
Yeah.
History, as far as I know, is an outlier in that it uses Chicago. I think it's like one of the only professional academic disciplines to use Chicago style. And then all of the social sciences use APA.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. I remember reading that as I was reading this. What does it mean to think historically? It's like, oh, I saw the notes and the 1, 2, and the 1, 2, 3. So just figured I'd ask.
yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. I think that's all I got right now. So,
All right.
Okay. I guess.
Yeah, and as I said to everyone else as they signed off, let me know if you have questions or if
Okay.
you want another Zoom meeting, and we'll do that. So
Okay. Thanks a lot.
thanks for coming. Talk to you later. Bye.